So, you probably suck at texting girls. You go through all the effort of approaching her, asking for her number, but then when this moment comes to send her that first text, your brain just completely shuts off and it feels like you're walking through a minefield. But that's okay, and I know this because I've struggled with this too. Then, over about 3 years of approaching women, going on dates, I built my 5 step process to texting women that allowed me to never really struggle with this again. And since then, my dating life has been absolutely amazing. But first, before we go into giving the advice and talking about how to actually improve this, we gotta talk about the worst piece of advice I hear so many people give around this, and it's just absolutely terrible. And that is playing games. I swear, if you go look at almost any video on how to text girls, you'll hear this just absolutely terrible bullshit of advice of people saying things like, oh yeah, if she texts you and she takes 2 hours to reply, then you need to take 4 hours to reply. Oh, the longer that you wait to text her back, the more it's gonna make you look mysterious and the more it's gonna make her like you. And I just look at that like, oh my gosh, shut up, bro. That is so cringe. Most girls who have, actually a decent IQ are gonna see right through that shit. They're gonna see, okay, he's just purposefully leaving me on red, and that's just so lame. Now, what I will say about this is they are right in some ways, because when you're always texting a girl back and it's super fast, you give her like no time to think about you, yeah, that's unattractive. But the thing is, it shouldn't be this thing that you fake. It shouldn't be something that you manufacture. You should just be a guy who's busy in his day-to-day life, who's out doing stuff, who's living a good life, and who's actually progressing and focusing on himself. And by the very nature of you having a life and by you doing stuff, right, going to the gym, focusing on self-improvement, living a good life, you're naturally gonna take your time to reply to her. But the worst thing you can do is just sit in your room, play video games, like just not do anything, and then just say like, oh yeah, I'm just waiting to reply to her message because that's what that one YouTuber said. Like, don't do that. That's lame. That's stupid. Just go live your life. So now let's go into the 5 step process of texting women. Step number 1, be direct and decisive. Where so many guys will go wrong, and where I used to go wrong all the time, is I would just dance around the topic of wanting to ask her out, right? I'd be texting a girl, asking her all the most random ass questions I could think of. Oh, what's your favorite color? How many siblings do you have? What do you like to do for fun? And I would just be her texting buddy. But what you gotta understand is you do not want to be a girl's texting buddy. I guarantee you, if you've been in this position before where you were her texting buddy, there was another guy who she was actually talking to who wouldn't sit around and text her all day, who wouldn't be the guy who's just her little texting buddy. And he'd be the guy who's actually taking her out on dates, not the guy who's just her male best friend. You want to be more like that second guy. You don't want to be the guy who's just her texting buddy. You want to be the guy who's actually being direct, who's being decisive, who's asking her out on dates, who's making his intentions clear. So instead of just sitting around asking her question after question, actually ask her out for a date, make your intentions clear, and then if she says no, move on. And if she says yes, great, now you have a date with the girl. Now, step number 2, you have to be willing to escalate. This kind of in some ways ties into the last piece of advice, but you don't just want to be the guy who texts her for 2 to 3 weeks. I remember there was this one time when I was in high school, there was this one girl that I was talking to, and at first she was very into me. We were, talking to each other. I'd see her at school, we'd say hi to each other. Then I actually worked up the confidence to get her number. But where I went so wrong is I spent literally, I think, 2 months texting her and getting to know her before I actually asked her out for a date. Then by the time I actually asked her out, her interest was so low that she didn't even want to go out with me. Now, why did this happen? Well, it's because I took way too long to escalate, to actually get to the point where I was asking her out. Now, when I say this, okay, there's some guys who take this too far. You can't just ask her out immediately. You have to build trust with her. You have to build some connection with her. But you don't need to take 1 to 2 months to do that. It's more of like a 3 to 5 day thing, right? Let's say you text her for one day. You get to know her a little bit. Then the next day you text a little bit more. Then eventually, right, what's actually so much better than texting, you set a time to FaceTime her, to call her, and you chat with her, you get to know her. And now by this time, right, that you spent 3 to 5 days getting to know her, if she has any level of interest, she will be ready to go out with you. And the excuse a lot of guys will say is, oh, but what if she rejects me? What if she doesn't want to go out with me? But at this point, 3 to 5 days, she knows. So taking any longer is just going to make you seem weak and make it seem like you just don't have the balls to ask her out, which is very unattractive. So the sweet spot, right? 3 to 5 days, get to know her a bit, talk to her, about stuff that you have in common, set a time to FaceTime. That's very important, or to call, and then just escalate and get to the point where you're asking her out for a date. And then if she rejects you, then you didn't spend 1 to 2 months texting her, because the worst thing that can happen is you take forever to get to know this girl. You invest so much into her. You spend all this time FaceTiming and calling her, and then she doesn't even like you. And I know that because I have made that mistake so many times. So don't take forever to get to know her. Just ask her out for the date. Now, step number 3, you want to use the phone to plan dates, not to get to know a girl. This is something that, I heard Coach Corey Wayne say all the time, and I think it's a very great piece of advice. And this applies not only before the first date, but as you go on. You should not be using texting, be using the phone as how you're getting to know a girl. You should save most of that conversation for in person, for when you actually go out for the date. Now, why is this? Well, think about it from her perspective. If you spend weeks texting and she knows everything about you before you even go on a date, what are you even going to have to talk about when you go out? You're going to have absolutely nothing, because she already knows everything about you. So why would she want to go out on a date with you if she already knows everything about your life? You have to save some mystery. You have to build some anticipation, right? Even in between dates. Don't spend all your free time just sitting around and texting her. Plan a time to go out on a date, set the date, and then just go live your life, right? Let her wonder about you. What so many guys don't realize about attraction and why women like certain guys versus why they don't like other guys is there is mystery. There's anticipation. When you're not with a girl, right, she's going to sit there and she's going to wonder, oh, I wonder what he's doing. I wonder what he's up to, and that's attractive. That's mysterious. But the second that you text her and you tell her everything about you, oh, hey, I just, I went to school today and then I came home and I played video games and now I'm working on homework and then tomorrow I'm going to get up early and I'm going to go to the gym. Your mystery's all killed. That mysterious, attractive energy is completely gone. So you have to use the phone as a way to plan dates and a way to get to meet up in person, and then save the conversation, save actually the interaction for when you're with her. Now, this leads me into step number 4, okay? You want to do some check-ins, because some guys will hear that last piece of advice and they'll take it too far, right? They'll set a date with a girl and then the girl won't hear from them for like 5 more days. And that's also not very attractive. You have to be able to balance it, right? You don't want to text her all the time, but also you want to check in with her every now and then. And how do I know this? Because I screwed this up. There was this one girl I was talking to probably 3 years ago, something like that. I was talking to her and I heard the advice of oh yeah, just set the date and then save the conversation for in person. So I set the date, right? We had plans to go out and go bowling or something. And then I literally did not text her for 4 days. And this was our 3rd date, by the way. And I'd kind of already done this thing where I planned a date and didn't text her a few times. And by the time the 3rd date came up, she was just honestly, I think it's very inconsiderate how, you never text me at all between our dates and you just go ghost all of a sudden. So I took that advice of save the conversation for in person, and I took it way too far, okay? The point is, right, you want to save most of the conversation for in person, but then just send her a little check-in every now and then. If you have a girlfriend, you should obviously text her every day, right? Just, good morning or something. Then when when you're in the talking stage with a girl, it's more like once every 2 to 3 days. Just send her a message. Hey, I really enjoyed our date the other day. I had a lot of fun with you and I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about it. Or, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm so excited for our date, to go out to this restaurant because I've really been wanting to go out to this place. I'm super excited for it. Now, some girls might think that's unattractive and, oh, why is he showing interest? Why is he, showing that he cares about me? I don't like that. I want a guy who's just gonna ignore me and tell me, and it's well, you shouldn't even want to be into a girl who doesn't find that attractive in the first place, okay? There's nothing wrong with sending a message every now and then, just showing her that you care about her, that you're thinking about her. Women who are high quality are going to like that and are going to want to talk to a guy like that, okay? So check in with her every now and then. Then step number 5, okay, how do you move forward? How do you keep this momentum going and actually make this a long-term strategy? Well, really, it's all about just rinsing and repeating these things, right? It's not that complicated. You just get her number, you're being the guy who's direct and decisive, you're asking her out for a date, you're escalating, okay? Then you're using the phone mostly to see her in person, not to just talk about your everyday life with each other, and then you're just checking in with her every now and then, right? Texting really is not that complicated. You don't have to overcomplicate this. So many guys watch hundreds of videos on texting girls and how to do this, and it just becomes information overload. When in doubt, really the secret is just say to yourself, what would I say to her if I were talking to her in person? Like, if you were into a girl in person, you'd bump into her every now and then, and you'd say hi to her, right? You'd see her at school, you'd see her at work, you'd see her wherever you're going, and you would check in with her, right? You wouldn't be constantly like chasing her around and talking to her and always feeling the need to connect with her and texting her all the time. No, it would just be natural. So texting is really the same way. Think about it just like you would interact with a girl in person. Don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't try to be too cool. Like don't try to do way too much. Just be yourself. And if you do that, I guarantee you that you will have success with your dating life and you won't struggle with texting anymore. So if you found this video helped, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video, bro.